weather events and the sort of miscalculations that local weather people who are not part of this, weather manipulation loop, the inconsistencies of their forecasting, and there are issues going on with weather that are hard to fathom. And a lot of people think that the weather is such a big system it cannot be manipulated. This is absolutely untrue. It's actually a quite delicate system. And I know in New York and along the eastern seaboard there in October, there was a massive and a catastrophic snowstorm. It was catastrophic for the trees because the trees had not dropped their leaves yet. And this is happening all over the...
I think we may have lost him.
Hello?
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 Yes, hi.
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
hi,
you're...
This is Dawn from Florida.
Dane, are you still on the air?
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay, I'm sorry, what is your name again?
Dawn from Florida.
Dawn?
Yeah.
Like the dawn of the sun?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and you're from Florida? Okay,
yes.
I think we may have lost our guest for a second, so let's just get him back on the line so you can ask him a question. And you're listening to the Manning Report.
$1 million in damage, and they've since shut up about it. But I think it's safe to say if the Chinese can do it, we can sure as hell do it, and it's happening all over, and it shouldn't be snowing at 45 degrees. So the degree to which they can manipulate weather events with chemical, disbursements is phenomenal. And if people doubt that such things can create ice, think about the ice pack that sits on your, medicine or your first aid kit for 20 years, and you mix the chemicals together, you got ice. And the scope and scale that they appear to be manipulating weather is hard to fathom indeed.
Okay, well, Dane, we have a lady named Dawn from Florida who is calling. Dawn, you still there?
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
Yes, I've been researching this for a while. I actually started noticing them because one day I looked outside, I walked outside, and I was just covered with them above my house, like I was under attack. So I kind of figured they must have figured out where Dawn from Florida, calls the Manning Report, lived at or something, So I started looking into it. But I found a lot of research in the NASA Gov site for cloud research back in '96, and this paragraph stuck out to me. It's called "Success Flights Completed." I guess they're making it into a science project. But it said, "Congratulations to all participants for an amazing job. As I said at our dinner in Salina, I have been overwhelmed by the extreme hard work and long hours put in by everyone. PIs and their teams, project and mission scientists, meteorologists, airplane ground crews, flight crews, pilots, and ops management, and many support people. Truly a team effort. A pat on the back to all."
Certainly, yeah. Within these inner circles, This
is from the NASA site.
Yeah,
for their yearly dinner.
The people that appear to be involved, certainly NASA. There's a Battelle Corporation. There's a global flight directing organization, which is a branch of Boeing called Jepson. I personally spoke to a former Jepson employee. When I mentioned Geo-Engineering, he looked like a deer in the headlights, into conversation, walked away. And so, it's hard to imagine how many people might be involved, people...
They don't know what's really going on. They think they're just doing their job,
That's exactly right. Exactly right.
It's so sad, because, I don't know. But I have caught a black chemtrail on video and took pictures of it. Do you know what that would be?
There's speculation on that, and again, it's hard to say, what phenomena atmospherically might be taking place, and or what sort of experimentation.
There was white ones too, and then one of them was black, turned gray, turned white, and then turned gray, and then back to black.
It was
just weird. That was on the first day of the year of this year.
Barium reacts with sunlight. It's hard to tell since we don't know what's being dispersed and we don't know the objectives, But certainly, there's people that have noted that. And I agree with you fully, though, that the people involved with these programs, the vast majority, have absolutely no idea what they're doing. I personally spoke to a KC-135 pilot who had no idea what he was doing up there.
Yeah, the pilots, I've talked to pilots. They had no idea what was going, nothing about it.
No idea.
I've been taking a lot of pictures over the past couple of years. I would love to share with you, but I call it weather modification ground observation. And I've been able to get your movie out there to my neighbors and people I know. And sometimes it's through outside taking pictures of the chemtrails, and it'll be like, what are you taking a picture of? And I'll show them the chemtrail, and then I can explain it to them. You know what I'm saying? That's a good icebreaker when they can see it in their face. You know,
to have something to hand to them, and
then yep, exactly. And even a neighbor that didn't even like me, and I shared it with them, and they were just so thankful. And now we're friends, you know, over that movie. So that's pretty cool.
You're doing what everybody needs to do, and I salute you for that, because people need to tell others. If you tell two, they tell two, and so on.
Or just even if you plant the seed so they start noticing it, you know, because, you know, and I think it's also a good ground just to wake people up, because it's not political, it's not religious, it's not racist. You know what I'm saying? This is something they can figure out on their own and see for themselves and realize that we're all being, you know, killed here.
You're exactly right. It goes through all lines of division.
And I found that's a good way to get people into finding out more about the truth and opening their eyes a little bit more.
Well, you know, Dane and Dawn,
it helps.
Dane and Dawn, there's D&D, Dane and Dawn. The most common, you know, reaction I get from people, and not only in this issue, but on other issues, they have this "you can't fight City Hall" mentality, which, of course, the powers that be love that, because they want you to think there's nothing you can do about it. But Dane, when you look at this issue, because you know this issue back and forth, where do you see any chance of mobilizing against this? In other words, when you speak to a Dawn or the other gentleman who called, I think his name was Chris, what can you tell them is what they can do to try to stop this?
Enough people have to be aware to give you some sort of a movement. And I think, in fact, in the next day or two, there's a vote happening in Manhattan, somewhere out your way.
Actually, I think Suffolk County, maybe. No?
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, on this issue.
December 6th.
And you know, just to clarify with the last caller, the guy who deserves the most credit on this issue, bar none, in the whole world, is Michael Murphy. He's the most selfless, dedicated individual I've ever known. I'm honored to call him my friend. He's the one who really produced that movie. I'm simply an interview in it. But anyway, if we had a few more like him, you know, we might really get this on the radar. And it is incumbent on each and every one of us, and whatever challenge we face, and we all have many, if this one doesn't get rectified, all of our days are in question. And
this is a good start, being on the Manning Report too. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Dawn. You know, Dane, a rabbi said to me the other day when I told him that I was doing research and that I was going to do a program to wake people up as to what is happening on this issue, he said to me, "That's impossible. If what you're saying is true, you're describing the Soviet Union." He happened to be from the Soviet Union. What would be your response to that, Rabbi?
I think he's like a lot of people who have filters that dictate what can be real and what can't be real. And anything that's too threatening just can't be real. And I pray that those filters start to disintegrate with people, and they just simply look up and use their God-given sense of reason. That, you know, what is this? It's clearly not right. And again, for those who are trying to wake up others, semantics are important on this issue. If only the term chemtrails are used, you know, a whole lot of disinformation sites are found. If the term geoengineering is used in conjunction with that, people can find hard science, credible things. And again, one thing to keep in mind, the whole scientific community has always alluded to this. They're trying to paint this like some natural method to alter the climate, and they always refer to sulfur dioxide because they want it to sound like a volcanic event, which seems natural to people. That is only a red herring. The world's most recognized geoengineers had made clear aluminum is the material of choice. They don't care how toxic it is or lethal to everything that lives. Aluminum has 16 times the albedo, the reflectivity. 4 times the reflectivity, 16 times less coagulation rate, which means as they spray these particulates in the upper atmosphere, aluminum is 16 times less likely to coagulate together and fall faster. So aluminum is simply better for their experiment. So they don't care what effect it has on the ground. And